Hey folks, Mick Hawes, Builders Business BlackBelt. New month, new theme. I say new theme, but it's still kind of mindset stuff, and I guess you're going to have to expect that because that's the paddock I play in. Very mindset oriented. I just think it's at the foundation of pretty much everything, whether you're talking about your financial situation, your mindset around that, and you need to go back and have a look at a previous video explaining what mindset is, because mindset, most people think mindset is just how you think, and that's what I thought for a long time, and it was quite frustrating trying to coach people and help people to change their mindset in an effort to help them with their situation, whether it's money, whether it's relationship, whether it's building team or leadership or marketing, or it didn't matter what it was. Mindset was at the foundation of it. But it wasn't until that I realized that mindset isn't something you need to change or manage. Mindset is a result of at least 10 other, what I'm calling elements, that influence what your mindset becomes, because the mindset is a result. So the key is to understand what those 10 elements are and begin to work on those 10 elements. And you'll find that as you begin to work on them, the 10 elements aren't equal in various situations. Some are more influential than others depending on what you're working on. But that's not what this month is about. The theme this month is about expectation, because I find that if your expectation is wrong, you can actually be making progress, but it doesn't feel like you are, because your expectation is of something different than what's happening. So this can be applied to pretty much anything, but we will be unpacking various scenarios this month about expectation. It could be expectation around leadership. It could be expectation around your financial situation. It could be expectation about, I've already said leadership, but I was about to say building your team and what you expect from your team members, et cetera, what you expect from your clients and prospects. So we'll cover as much of that as we can over this month. But in this particular video, I'm wanting to unpack just your expectation of your journey towards success. And again, this could be just with how you're managing yourself. It could be your planning. We've done a whole month on planning. It could be just what your business success looks like. It could be you developing a new skill. But what is your journey forward? What's your expectation around your journey forward if you're trying to improve and succeed in a certain area? And so this is what most people's expectation of their journey looks like. If this is time along the bottom, and these are, let's say, results up that way. Most people's expectation is this beautifully upward trending improvement over time. And part of the issue here, and I'm coming clean because it is one thing that I'm not concerned about, is having believed something in the past and taught it and encouraged people to use it because I believed in it, and then having a different understanding of it as I learn more and test more and what have you. And one of those things of recent times is this concept of we need to make small improvements every day. That's the secret. And I've been a big proponent of that over the years. And what I believe today, speaking with you now, is that this small incremental improvements every day is good in theory, but to practice it is near on impossible. And I say near on because there are some freaks of nature who are just that incredibly disciplined that that's what they do. But even in that space, someone who is that disciplined to make these incremental improvements every day is paying the price somewhere else in their life if they are that disciplined. But for most of us, we're running a business, we've got a family, we've got interests and passions and a social life, etc. And then there's health, energy, all of these things that influence us. And it's really difficult to make these small 1%ers, if you like, these little improvements every day. And that's what that would look like. If you had making these small incremental improvements every day, it would look like that. In fact, it would probably look more like this, the exponential curve. But anyway, this is what our expectation looks like. And because that's what our expectation looks like, again, if we've got time and results there, this is what it actually feels like. It's just this wild up and down. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. There's massive frustration and disappointment mixed in with a bit of elation. I think I've broken through. But it's a very challenging experience. A lot of it is to do with this win-lose mentality. I'm going to do another video talking about the infinite and the finite games, and I've talked about it before. But that also creates our experience of we think we're going really well and then the shit hits the fan and down we go and we get upset and we have a bad client or someone duds us, one of our team members leaves or, takes us to unfair dismissal and this, that, and the other when you've completely done the right thing and they've done the wrong thing. There are all of these things that make our experience wildly up and down. And I don't think those challenges will ever go away. But here's where I'm at the moment. And I think this is, if we understand what our journey should look like, then if the experience starts to match that, at least we're getting what we expected. But that nicely upward trending line, in my world, is an unattainable for most people expectation. And that's what causes this massive up and down. So here's what I'm suggesting your journey should look like. And this is changing your focus from trying to do all of these things that you know that you should do. You need to slow down and identify which area of your life is pressing on you the most and would make the most difference if I worked on it, and what particular area of that do I need to work on right now. And you figure out what the fundamental actions are that are going to move you towards improvement in that space. And so you learn something and we end up with a spike like that. So you get the information, and it could be in Black Belt's case or Blueprint's case, we teach you a thing called the prioritized daily action list, which is part of a personal success ritual. When people do it, they learn the information and they instantly go, this is fantastic. I feel so much more in control, what have you. And then after a little while, there becomes what's happened? A little dip like that where they are just refining things and learning how to implement it a little bit better. And then what happens is most of us, once we think we've mastered it, we want this next spike like that. But what I'm suggesting is that you don't, is that you create a plateau and you keep repeating this new activity. And it's like driving piles. Every time you repeat this new activity, it's like driving piles down into bedrock to make this new activity just rock solid, because there's this old saying that we don't rise to our aspirations. We fall to the level of our training. And with the previous diagram, if you haven't built that foundation and then you build the next thing on top of it, at some stage it gets too heavy and it all crumbles down. But if we've built a solid foundation, and this foundation should actually continue on like that, then you can build the next thing on top of it, and you'll have a little bit of time to work it out, and then you build the next plateau. And this should continue all the way. This is forever. And so with these fundamental activities that, like the personal success ritual and the prioritized daily action list, if it's for teams, it's daily direction meetings, weekly team meetings, monthly one-on-ones, they all have certain choreography. You need to implement them, and you need to be happy and comfortable and expect that there is this long plateau. And this is where it all falls apart, because we don't like plateaus. We think we should be improving all of the time, but we try and build another new habit and a new skill on top of others that haven't been fully bedded in. And after a while, it all gets too hard and something snaps. And so there's this old saying that amateurs do it till they get it right. And in that case, you do it right there. And that's where they want to build a new habit onto there like that. So amateurs do it, they rehearse, they practice until they get it right. Professionals practice, rehearse until they can't get it wrong. And the only way you can do that is build that plateau and keep doing these things, and so that it becomes very solid. Then we build the next thing on. So if we get put under pressure here and we haven't built that plateau, what we're going to do is we're going to fall to the level of our training. We're not going to, when we're under pressure, we don't stay up there to the level of our aspirations. We fall to the level of our training. So we need to build that foundation, and then the next thing, and we build that foundation. Then we can, what's the next thing here? And we have a little dip, and then another plateau, and we build that foundation. Okay? So the difference in expectation, this is what we expect. This is what we experience because of that expectation. But if we wrap our mind around just what's the thing that's going to make the biggest difference, and we implement that, and we drive piles into the ground, and we take a professional approach, and we keep repeating it even though it's mundane and we don't like it, we've got to keep doing it so we can build the next thing onto it. Because when the pressure happens, and it will happen, something is always happening. There's always something that's happening to challenge us. We fall to the level of our training. So you need to be training your mind and your practices to fall in love with this mundane activity. Most people just do it when it's convenient, but when they're under pressure and there's urgency and all that sort of stuff, these fundamental practices, they all fall by the wayside, and we fall back down to the level of that previous plateau. And for most people, that is, I don't do any planning, I don't do any prioritize, I just run around like a headless chook, going from urgent crisis to urgent crisis. And if that's your training, that's when you're under pressure, that's what you fall back to. But what if you built with a solid plateau, a habit of prioritizing and working your plan each day, and as something new comes down, you learn how to weigh it up based on consequences rather than feelings. And so all of this is built on this foundation of principles. And that's what we need to learn to do, is to act and decide based on principles, not feelings. I don't feel like it. I'm too tired when I don't want to get up early, blah, 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 all of that sort of stuff. Principles work. Feelings, if you make decisions consistently on feelings, they'll let you down. So I hope this got you thinking. I'd love to know what you think about this. Do you think I'm full of it? Happy to hear you say that. I wouldn't be happy, but everyone's entitled to their opinion. You want to put a comment in the comments wherever you're watching this video, whether it's YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever it shows up for you. in the comments. If you want to let me know something privately, you can reach out to me through LinkedIn. More than happy to connect with you through there. My email is mick@buildersbusinessblackbelt.com.au. Happy to have a conversation with you there. If you really wanted to get into it, I'm happy to have a Zoom conversation with you and see how this can be applied to your building business. That's what we do. We're here to help. So we'll be back next week with another video. The theme this month, as I said, is expectations. It's all around mindset, around expectations, still around mindset, but I'm just focusing on this one specific thing about expectations because it's fascinating. And when you clearly understand and have an appropriate expectation, you will feel much better because you can more than likely make that expectation become reality. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Loved your comments. Reach out. Love to have a chat. Bye for now.